Okay, so hello, welcome to an interview with the IOSH Food and Drink Industries Group. My name is Peter Jenkins and I'm joined today by fellow future steering member Luke, and I'm joined by two members of the IOSH Food and Drink Industries Group, David Chaplin and Craig Foyle. So today we've got a few questions that we'll be asking Craig and David, and I'm hoping that by the end of this interview we can finish off with a couple of sound bites that will be really pertinent for our future leaders community. Without further ado then, it would be absolutely fantastic to have a bit of an introduction from Craig and David yourselves. If you just wouldn't mind telling us who you are, what you do and what your position is in the IOSH Food and Drink Industries Group.
Hello, Craig Foyle. I am the chair of the Food and Drink Industries Group.
Yeah, hello, David Chaplin. I'm the vice chair of the Food and Drink Industries Group. I've worked around food and drink businesses for over 25 years. One particularly big one and one not so big, but plenty of experience, and hopefully we can give you some good answers to your questions.
Perfect. Looking forward to it. Thank you very much. So my name is Peter Jenkins. I'm a Future Leader Committee Steering Group member, and I'm currently working in a food manufacturing company called DL with food manufacturing sites across England and Scotland. Luke, if you'd just like to give yourself a bit of an introduction.
Sure. Hi, my name's Luke Collins. I'm the SHE officer at a concrete manufacturer down in the southwest, so a slightly different industry. But I've recently joined the Steering Future Leaders group as well.
Perfect. Brilliant. So let's dive in with the questions. First question for you both, David and Craig. What are the career path options that perhaps are either the most important or the ones that are most attractive, would you say, in the food and drinks sector?
So I think in our sector, what I like about it most is how diverse it is. And you realize that there are so many different areas of specialism that you can go into over your time. However, I think when you first join, most people join in a general safety advisor type role and then work their way up the management chain. So it could be that you look at machinery safety or manufacturing or logistics. So it's a wide range really from my side. And I think the lessons that you learn from each of those different core areas then help make you a more rounded professional anyway when you as you start to develop. David, anything to add?
Yeah, I just agree with you completely. I think one of the things also is that there's the paths cross between industries, different sectors. You know, I've seen some really great people come through food and drink and move into other areas and vice versa. So it's not just one route. But I would say about the food and drink industry is it does give you a huge range of areas that you can focus on around, you know, manufacturing, logistics, marketing, sales, etc., etc. There's loads of areas within food and drink that can lead you on to bigger things elsewhere, and I say vice versa. Well, the diversity of people coming into food and drinks industries is quite big. So so don't think about it as one path.
Oh, perfect. Thank you very much for that insight. Completely agree with you on the progression, and that's something that's been very closely aligned to my own progression from SHE officer to SHE manager to group head of health and safety within a relatively short period of time. And I wouldn't be able to have done that if not for those really diverse opportunities within food and drink. So really great insights, thank you.
So question I have is food and drink is associated with big brands, big business. For an aspiring or a graduate OSH professional, for them to really stand out in an application, what would the advice be there if someone was trying to break into the industry?
Yeah, I'll start on this one. I mean, I think one thing to say is, you know, food and drink covers a huge range of sized businesses. Some are big brands. I work for one, and some of them are quite small. So you know, think about the sort of broad range of businesses that are available. But when we talk to people coming into our businesses, I'm looking for obviously the competent side of things. So IOSH is very helpful from that point of view. It gives you a sort of good grounding around knowing that you've got people coming in who know what they're talking about. There's always lots to develop as you move through your career, but also people that are sort of very open in the way they think. I mean, I think possibly a traditional view of safety is it's very, you know, very one regimented, very perhaps clipboard in the old style. But people that are very business aware recognize how she, particularly safety, can drive a great business, and how it can integrate into business is important. So showing a business awareness and showing how it can make a business better is a really strong message to give when you're coming into a business. So competence and this really big business awareness. I could expand, we haven't got much time, but yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah, I totally support that. And I worked for a mechanical engineering company for a number of years, and working on the site where David used to be. And it's that rounded approach. So you actually try and embed safety into the regime rather than it being that bolt on. And but it's the awareness of branding and the importance that the branding is. Now, for a large organization, we think that's really strong, and it is. But equally so, I've worked with micro food and drink organizations, and it's everything to them. And so it's understanding the business and also the people that work in the business are certainly the most critical things.
Brilliant, terrific. Thank you so much for that. And perhaps related to that question that we've just asked there, are there any particular areas or competencies within safety that you'd recommend an OHS professional looking to break into food and drink start to gain experience on? I appreciate there, David, that you talked a little bit about kind of the business acumen side, but perhaps thinking more along maybe either the technical lines of safety that people might be more associated with or might kind of think more about. Is there anything specifically within safety that you recommend people look into?
So, I mean, I think from my perspective, you've got to get as much experience in all areas as you can. So as I was developing in my safety career, I started at 26, and I was lucky enough to be working in food and drink, but also pharmaceutical and chemical industries. And so I would take the best bits from all of those, and it helped me become a rounded professional in all of them. But also, it's by getting the experience in all the areas, you then mean that as you progress, you then find a niche that you particularly have a greater interest in. And so it helps you to find where you want to go. And so from my perspective, I've spent a lot of time in compliance with the construction design and management regulations. So new plant and equipment in or taking equipment out, and machinery safety and the people side and the training. Whereas it might be that you develop in as a technical expert in machinery safety or working at height or go into food safety. So it's, for me, get the breadth of all areas, and then you'll find an area where you specifically want to target.
Yeah, totally agree. And I think one of the areas also is around understanding how a great management system works in a food and drink business. All those elements. I know that seems a bit general, but when you come into a business, what they're after is someone who can understand how you go right through from setting the right policies and procedures, the right technical expertise, and then the checks and balances that go with it. So understanding how a really good management system works, and you get that from going and looking at what other people are doing, bit of your own experience. There's some great examples out there of how people are running it. Just one overlay is health. I think health is really sort of become one of the forefront parts of how we operate going forward. So I'm talking about great musculoskeletal programs. If you've got some experience in that, noise reduction, mental health, those areas are going to be important as we go forward. They already are, but they're going to rise to even further to the surface.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for that. You'll have to excuse me while I'm just furiously scribbling some of these notes down as well. It's absolute gold. There's a lot to be said there about the safety of work and safety work, and the knowledge that a lot of upcoming and aspiring professionals might be able to apply if they're thinking of going into food and drink. So really great insights there. Thank you so much for that, gents.
Another question on what is the biggest advancement within your industry for OSH in recent times?
Okay, that's a tricky one. There's so many things going on. One thing I would say is I think over the years, particularly recently, I think the competence and capability of SHE professionals has massively improved. I'm not saying that there weren't good people around in the past, but I think that has really made a difference. People like you guys coming through, the other future leaders. Really, I've seen some great intelligent thinking about how to approach something in a different way. Diversity of thinking and diversity of the people that are coming through, and the networking that's going on as well is really important. You can't solve all these things on your own, so you can solve them when you start to talk to a load of other people. So I think actually that's something to say. I think that the quality of people and the opportunities that they have is making a huge difference.
I totally agree with that. And also for me, in the experience that I'm dealing with, I'm finding getting leadership involved and buying into the safety and health requirements is making a difference. So for example, I deliver a lot of the Irish leading safety training. When you get everyone around the room, when you really explain what safety is about and why you want to do it, then all of a sudden you get finance supporting the reasons why. And I've always said there's a hook, there's a reason why people do things. And I do my safety role because I don't want people to get hurt. And I've dealt with, you know, everything from a minor injury to a fatality. Well, when you when I talk to like people in finance and you make them realize that the impact they can have, I in effect talk to them in pounds and pence. And it might sound strange, but if you're an accountant, you deal with money, therefore you need to understand what the costs are. So I found leadership engagement to be a really significant factor, because in the past you'd have a safety and health professional trying to coerce and influence people, but without the leadership buying into it, then it doesn't happen. And with the management systems and ISO 45001, leadership have got to be held accountable at the audit stage, which is great, because they used to just have a cup of coffee with the auditor and then say, I'll see you at 5 o'clock when we finish. Whereas now they've got to say what they're doing as a leader. So I think for me, it's that leadership involvement.
Brilliant, perfect, very, very insightful stuff. And I think you're both completely right with what you're saying, and absolutely agree that the language that we use with leaders to get their buy-in is an incredibly important skill, and certainly it's been a huge advancement from what I've seen in the short time that I've been in food so far. So thinking about the actual food and drink industries group then, I appreciate that there's over 4,000 members currently working across the food and drink sector at the moment. But what would you say are the top 3 reasons for someone who is either currently working in or aspiring to work in food and drink to join this group?
So from my perspective, number 1, information, in terms of there are a number of resources out there already. And one of them is like electrical safety DVDs, where there's different information available for those working in the industry that can be used as training materials now. We're also working on a project which is going to provide another significant area of resource for people in the industry, and certainly for future leaders, it's going to be really good to try with the project we've got. We've started on it, so I'm not going to explain what it is now, but it's a taster. So information is definitely one. Networking is another. And I know COVID put a major spanner in the works for the Food and Drink Industries Conference. But the conference that we normally hold annually, and we're now looking at next year's already, is a fantastic way to have 2 days with other safety and health professionals, and the ability to mix and meet people is amazing, because you meet somebody at a conference and then you talk to them, get the details, and then you have a problem, and then you can go and do that. So information, networking, and for me, it's about almost like CPD really, and making sure you keep refreshed. What's the current best practices out in the industry, and how can you keep up to date? What do you think, David?
Yes, really good. I totally agree. I mean, for me, all the way through my career, networking has been really important. And at the point that I'm at now with my career, it's extremely useful. I mean, I can talk to people all around the food and drink and extended other industries if I have issues, and to support people. And in COVID, it was absolutely critical. We formed a group with a whole group of food and drink businesses to work out what we needed to do in amongst all the confusion. So absolutely critical. Networking, we work with the HSE a lot. I over the time that I've been working with different groups, has been part of organizing and putting together the common strategy across the food and drink industry. So there's a lot. The second thing is around the influence that you can have across the businesses, across food and drink as a whole, and that the only other add I've got was new skills. I think you get an opportunity to do things that are outside what you might do in your business. So presenting at a conference or being involved in organizing something at a high level across the food and drink industries, working with the HSE, working with the unions, I see this absolutely critical to improving health and safety, working with them. there's loads of opportunity for new skills as well. So possibly we went over 3, but there's lots of great reasons.
But if I can just add to that, using the word opportunity there, David, our food and drink industries group committee, we are looking for 2 future leaders to join our committee. We want to engage with them, support them, help and let them appreciate what we do, but actually want to give them some work to do as well, because volunteering for any committee within IOSH is an invaluable experience. And I started off with volunteering for branches, and then into groups, and then IOSH Council, and I've been involved in audits, and then right the way through to presidential team as president 2017-18. But sometimes it's the non-work skills, but actually they're professional development skills that by volunteering you can engage with people at all levels and get that breadth of experience of mixing, networking, of governance and structures and things like that. So that's why we're offering 2 places, and we're looking for people to come back to us, and we'll have that process to try and select 2.
Right, Craig, just quickly on that, is there a specific email address or way that anyone watching this who thinks, hey, food and drink sounds amazing, I would love to volunteer and get involved, what's the best way that they can do that?
So the best way, what I'll do is I'll say use the networks email, networks@iosh.com, and it's the best way because everything's captured there. So if you're interested in volunteering for IOSH in the networks, then whether it's our group or another group, I'll actually help support the other groups as well. So best email address, networks@iosh.com.
Brilliant, thank you very much for that.
David, Craig, final one from me. Where do you see the OSH in your industry over the next 3 years? Where do you see it going to?
Okay, I would say we obviously have been through an extremely difficult time with COVID, and we're still working through that. I think the safety and health professional group responded fantastically well. We became sort of in the eye of the storm, trying to work it all out. As we come out of this, hopefully we're sort of heading on a path. I think most businesses are seeing some light now at the end of the tunnel. So, but I think this is really focused on, for everybody, the need to have a fantastic place to work. You've got to get people having a great place to come to work on a daily basis. And SHE is absolutely fundamental for that. Safety for the future will be about creating great workplaces, which is why I mentioned earlier about this health aspect. Making sure that people don't get injured is absolutely key. We want 0 accidents. We also want it to be a great place to work. We want natural light environments. We want low noise environments. We want places where people aren't being injured from a musculoskeletal point of view long term. I think we've got a great role to play in this. So I think that's the thing going forwards. We can make great workplaces through safety and health. So I think that for me is the way it feels like we're coming out of this, and we'll head in the next few years.
Yeah, I support that. And I would say that our future is in our hands as a profession. As David had mentioned, the safety and health professionals' roles were perhaps escalated during COVID, and all of a sudden organisations realised the importance of the safety and health profession, and how we now develop that is up to us, because we need to be providing the solutions. So when there's a problem, we come up with a solution. We don't say, this isn't right, it's breaching this, it's breaching that. We say, we have a problem, this is a practical and professional way to deal with it. It's cost effective, it works with benchmarks against other organizations. So to me, where do I see us? I see us to be more of a supporting role, and maybe some steps higher in many organizations where you actually get a proper seat around the table to help make that difference. Because I think that a true health and safety professional is an excellent conscience for an organization. And if you think how much change there is in many organizations, it doesn't take many years for people to not remember that major incident from 5 years ago because they've all gone. And then you just say, remember that, but you need to remember it, but not dwell on it. And so be constructive, be supportive, and be professional. And that's, if we do that, we will certainly improve our reputation as a profession as well.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for that. I keep using this word again, but some amazing insights there. And I appreciate your magic 8 balls have been shocked to try and work out what might happen after a very, very difficult and turbulent year, certainly within the food industry through COVID. So very much appreciated from that point of view. I realise this now brings us to the end of all the questions that we've had for you. Thank you very much for your engagement, your insights, your answers, and the level of detail as well. Your passion and enthusiasm for food and drink shines through with all of this, and I do hope that it has inspired anyone listening to this to volunteer and get engaged with the Food and Drink Industries Group. So if I can extend my thanks, David, Craig, Luke, and to IOSH for facilitating this event. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much, and speak soon. Take care.
Thank you very much. We do
Thank you.
appreciate that. From our perspective, we are so willing to help. Please don't think that it's just a 15-minute interview and then we'll never talk to you again. So if you want anything, we're here. All the other groups are there as well. And we look forward to working with you and hopefully receiving any people interested in joining our committee as well. So thank you very much.
Brilliant. Perfect. And David, any last sound bites from yourself?
No, I think it's really good to get involved in this. I think it's great. And if you want to contact us afterwards, feel free to do that. Do it through the email, but we'll be very happy to talk to people about whatever they want, including what career progression opportunities there might be out there in food and drink.
Brilliant. Perfect. And anything from yourself, Luke?
Thank you very much. Your time was really insightful for me as an outsider from someone who's not involved with the food and drink industry. Just when you're talking about all the available opportunities, I really like when we spoke about brand awareness, business awareness, keeping an open mind. So, it just shows again that OSH is more than just as we touched on the clipboard and that old stereotype. So thank you very much for that.
Perfect. Amazing. Fantastic. Right. Well, thank you once again, gentlemen. Much appreciated.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.